start by cutting up our aromatics. In this case, that's carrot, celery, onion, and garlic. I've got some pretty ugly vegetables, but that's okay. This is the perfect time to use them. I'm using 3 cloves tonight, and then I'm going to give them a light crush, each one. I'm going to set 2 of the cloves of garlic aside for inside of the chicken, and I'm going to put 1 clove of garlic and a little bit of oil in my Dutch oven that I have on the stove. Now I'm going to peel 2 carrots, or the equivalent of 2 carrots. And as you can see, I have more carrots out here than that, and that's because when the chicken is in the oven, we're going to actually continue our peeling and chopping project, and then we'll use that for stock. These are just going to be sitting in the bottom of the pan underneath the chicken, and they will be an aromatic a little bit to the chicken, but it will also make a really nice sauce. So here I have half an onion all chopped up and ready to go. The other half is aside, and we'll use that in the stock. And now for one of my favorite all-time ingredients, celery. I just gave this a nice little rinse because it gets pretty dirty. Chop all of it, even the leafy parts. Now our aromatics are ready, and we're ready to prepare the chicken. While I'm a complete advocate for liberated chickens who can run around during their lifetimes, it's a totally different scenario when it comes to cooking them. The first thing we're going to do is take the little wings and put them back, just like this. Up and over. There are a number of ways to truss a chicken, and talk to just about any chef and they might have a slightly different way of doing it. But I'm just going to use some butcher's twine here. You could also use unwaxed dental floss, or probably get creative with some other things as long as there's nothing you don't want to eat on it. So start at the neck, tuck in any excess skin if there is some, and pull tight, evenly. Bring the string down around where the breast is, also tucking in skin. You can see right here. Then fold those little legs together like this. Will help for even cooking and pretty presentation. And I'm just going to flip it over, bring it underneath the wings, and tie it in the back. I'm actually going to chop off this little piece here called the parson's nose. I'm going to quite liberally salt it and pepper it, including the inside of the cavity. I'm also going to stuff the cavity with some lemon wedges, these pieces of garlic, and some of the thyme that I have. But I have a couple different methods of putting butter on this chicken. You can do either. I have some butter underneath the skin. You could do this earlier in the process before you truss it, or you could just throw some pats of butter on top. Either way, it's going to help the results. So now into the oven. Now while we're waiting for the chicken to cook, we can cut up the vegetables for the stock. What you could do is set all of these vegetables aside, cut up in the fridge, and make your stock tomorrow morning. I would like to use up these red potatoes, and they would go really nicely with the chicken. I also have some parsley. I'm going to just boil the potatoes very simply and toss them with a little bit of salt and butter, and then I have these parsley, so I'll chop that up for the potatoes. I'm going to save the stems and actually use that in my chicken stock as well. So here's everything you're going to need for nice chicken stock. We've got garlic, onion, carrot, celery, some parsley stems, a little bit of thyme, and a bay leaf in there. Fellow chefs, plug your ears. I actually had the oven at 500 because I was trying to heat it up faster, and I forgot to change it to 425. So let's check on the chicken. The top is getting pretty brown, which is fine, but it's cooking a lot faster than the sides. So that's an easy fix. I'm going to put a little bit of tin foil on it right now, and then I will uncover it for the last 10 minutes or so of baking. So while the chicken is cooking, I've got the potatoes boiling over here. The stock vegetables are ready to go, and I have this kale right here. And I just added some of this South African white blend called the Curator, which my friend Erin will tell you about. It's a lovely wine that New France carries, and it's also going to be a great pairing with this meal. The chicken has a few more minutes left to go, but I actually transferred it to another pan, and I'm taking the aromatics, putting it on the stove top here, and I'm going to just simmer those a little bit. The fat is starting to foam, and it's starting to kind of spit a little bit, so I'm going to pour that off. And then I'll add some boiling water to this. It'll dissolve all of the delicious brownings. There are a couple ways to find out if your chicken is done. One is to temp the chicken and the thigh if you have a quick read thermometer. The other way is to see if the juices run clear when you kind of separate the thigh from the body of the chicken. I wish there were Insta smells. Our chicken is done and absolutely delicious. So now it's time to cook the stock. Good morning. As promised, I'm finishing this stock the next day. It smells like everything that's in there, so that's a good sign that it's done. Once these cool off, you can either freeze them or refrigerate them for about 5 days. I like to have some small amounts ready or even have some in bags. So don't forget to tune into Erin's channel and see what she has to say about this lovely wine, The Curator. But for now, I'm Karin. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen. Here's my small army.